Hey yo, what it do? What's up, everyone? Just checking in. Um, it's 8:34 on a Wednesday. My mama passed 2 weeks ago today, and last night, I had a conversation with my dad because he was asking me if I was gonna go to my mama's funeral, which is on Monday, and it's kind of interesting because I didn't really plan on it. I didn't really want to go. But I thought it was interesting because even though I don't want to go, I still kind of had this voice in my head that's saying, like, you should go, for a number of reasons. Um, because more than likely it will be the last time that, like, I see the children, my mom's kids from her side. More than likely I won't ever see them again. So it will be the last time I see them. You know, I'm sure they don't expect me to go because of the confrontation or whatever that we got into. But I just thought it was very interesting because a lot of the reasons I didn't want to go are reasons that my dad didn't want to go. A lot of the issues that I had, my sister had. Like, he was talking about how he didn't want to go was because his own personal reasons. They never liked him. They treated him poorly, which I didn't know they were directly like negative towards him during my mama's marriage. Like, that's strong, bro. For my mom to get married to a black man and follow through with it, even though her mama would disown her for that, even though she would like get these hate speeches in the mail from her daughters, mostly because of the influence of her grandma. So who knows if they're actually racist or not. But writing these hate messages towards my dad, but the fact that my mama went through with that, like, that's something powerful, bro, because I don't know if I would go through with something knowing that my family distinctly didn't want me to do something, even though it's wrong, right? But it's like, ooh, like her mama was gonna disown her. I'm pretty sure did disown her, or at least treated her like crap. Like I said before, I think my mom was treated bad her whole life, which is so significant because her life really embodied the life of Job. She had all this hardship her whole life. Her mama did not treat her right. Her first husband didn't treat her right, cheated on her, had a baby out of wedlock, found out about it years later. Her daughters mistreating her. Down to, honestly, I think my dad didn't appreciate her enough. Never physical abuse, but probably more verbal abuse just because she would take it. Not too bad, but pretty bad, honestly. Like, not to put my folks on blast, but I think everybody really treated her bad. Did not treat her with the utmost respect that was due. Even down to myself. Like, I could have been around more. No, I could have done more things to make her proud. I could have worked harder to make sure that she wasn't in such a negative environment to where she wanted to die. These females were trying to say that, like, she died of cancer, but like, that's totally not true. She died of not eating for 14 days. And I was thinking on the drive home right now, like, I feel like personally I have a spiritual experience when I go 2 to 3 days without eating. Like, around day 2 I start feeling a type of way. But these thoughts that, like, the normal humans would say, oh, you need to eat or else you'll get hangry. I think that's kind of pulling of the flesh, right? Like you want to get upset at everything. Well, there was this one particular time about 2 years ago when I stayed with my dad, and I felt this experience where, like, if you shut off those voices, when you start to get upset over little things, when you haven't eaten, like, there's just this window that opened up, and I feel like I swear I could see everything so clearly. So I could only imagine the spiritual journey that my mom was on 14 days without eating. Because I could have sworn when I was with her and she was unresponsive, she looked off at the distance one time. No, the only reason I thought about this is because when I was a kid, we watched this show, Touched by an Angel, and there was the angel of death by the bedside. And only the person in the hospital could see him. And he was like, it's not your time yet, But everything was cool, copacetic, right? Like the hospital patient was like, okay. The angel of death was like, your time's coming, but not yet. And I felt like that kind of experience. I felt like that's what it was like, Maybe that's my imagination. Maybe that's, I don't know. But I just had this feeling. Because like she was looking off in the distance and I'm looking. And I felt like she saw something supernatural, like she knew her time was coming. And just looking back, bro, and hearing my girlfriend talk about it this morning on the way to drop her off at work, she was like, she's like, my sister feels guilty. My sister feels guilty. And I was telling her that she feels bad or whatever. She's calling like the oldest daughter like a murderer. And my girlfriend was like, oh, she just feels bad because she didn't come. Like she didn't see her while she was still alive, And she could have fought for her to get a feeding tube. And like just all these signs I didn't think about, from my mom being loathsome, to her not wanting to be resuscitated, to her refusing a feeding tube. Like the whole time I was thinking, I don't know why it didn't click, because apparently the oldest daughter said, oh, mom did not want a feeding tube. Okay? Everything was based off of her word, And I can go on and on about that, about how, like, basically it was a setup. Like, we all know it was a setup. That conversation last night was just so interesting because my dad talked about how he didn't want to go to this funeral because he didn't want these girls to say anything negative to him. And, like, he said, I'm not going to, blow up on him or anything. I'm just going to tuck my tail and walk away. But regardless, I just don't want any negative dark stain put on your mom's day, even if it is just the girls saying something negative and he doesn't respond. Like, he just didn't want any type of negativity on that day. And I thought that was very interesting because that's one of my fears. And what's fear stand for? Fearing everything actually, how's it go? I don't know, but fear is something that's imaginary, like it's made up in your head. It's not real. So anyway, and I didn't even realize it till he said something, because he was like, I don't want to go because they might say something, whatever. I just couldn't help but think, like, what are they going to do? What are they going to say? Especially if I'm standing next to him. Because my dad was still trying to decide whether he was going to go. My dad and my mom weren't technically together. They were divorced. But he even said, like, when he was in the hospital, I went to go visit him, and he was talking to the nurse, he was like, he said that his wife just died, Because my mom, yeah, she divorced him and everything, but I feel like a lot of the influence was her daughter's, because she was trying to reunite with them. And I guess she thought she would secure a place with them, but I just think they were tolerating her. I don't even think they really wanted her around. Anyway, so my dad was debating going there. And his reasoning behind it was interesting because I was like, that's exactly why I didn't want to go. And I was struggling with it. Like, I've been praying spiritually because I'm like, I'm concerned for myself. You know, the fact that I thought that they would say something negative, and not that they would say anything, but every scenario, I just pictured myself talking back, like blowing up, and it was disturbing my spirit. I was like, I've been praying like, God, please take this away, renew my heart, destroy my old heart, make a new heart in me to where I don't have any negativity or hatred towards these women or anything like that. Because it was concerning to me. Because my dad's even told me, like, you're not a violent guy. You're not a type of guy to get super angry. But this past week, like, I could not see a scenario where I go down there and I don't either blow up and talk that shit or smack the shit out of her husband. And again, I really don't feel like I would do either of those things. But it's what I feel like is deserved, honestly. I don't want to, but I feel like it's deserved. But when my dad said that, I was thinking, like, I was going to tell him, because he's debating going, I was going to tell him, like, I just pictured him standing next to me. Because not that I'm a badass or anything, but I don't really think anybody would say something in front of me, like, face to face like that. I just don't really see it. You know, I have had a few confrontations, a few haters in my life that did talk that shit, but they were males, probably willing to, like, take it on with me, you know. But I've never been in a fist fight either. But a lot of my fears in life never even came true, right? They didn't even happen. I was just fearing a scenario, thoughts made up in my head, and I didn't realize it till my dad said something. Like, that's the reason I wasn't going to go, or one of them, was because I didn't want them to say anything negative and have me blow up and go back at them. Because I didn't want to ruin my mom's day. And then when he said that, I was thinking, like, I was going to tell him, like, go there and stand next to me, because I honestly don't feel like anybody's going to say anything to me or around me. I don't know if it's bravado. I don't know if it's the grace of God. But I've just always felt, and not to be prideful or anything like that, but I've just always felt like people kind of genuinely know not to mess with me. Not that I'm a tough guy, but I just feel like there's this essence where people don't really talk that shit in front of my face. Like, when I've worked with people, I've never had people, like, directly start anything, you know. They may show off that attitude or show that they don't agree with me, but I've never had people actually have confrontation too much with me, you know. So when my dad said that, I was like, shoot, I was thinking, just stand next to me, because I just really don't see them saying something directly to my face. Not that I'm a badass, but just that I have this feeling that people feel this presence, this hedge of protection. And it's not even really due to me, but maybe my mom being in the prayer chair, being that prayer warrior. I kind of sense that, like, I have these angels around me, and people just know not to press that, not to start on me, you know. And I'm not even an angry person. Like, I never lash out. I never yell at people. You know, even my dad was surprised, like, man, that's kind of strong coming for you, because I just picture myself either yelling at him or getting physical. And I'm not even like that, you know. But I thought it was interesting that he said that. Because then I was thinking, like, What are they gonna say? What are they gonna say? Honestly. And if they do say something, what? What does it matter? Just stare at them, smile, and say, okay, that's a weird comment, but have a good one, you know? Or if they say something that would be derogatory or negative, like, I hope you find a good job, I hope you find stability, I would just smile and say, I hope you find Jesus, because you're obviously a heathen, you know? But again, that would be shit talking, and I didn't want to bring any type of negativity to my mom's funeral. And I know I'm in my head a lot about it, but I think that my dad's fears about it and making me realize that that's all some bull crap. Because what are they going to do? I got God on my side. They're not going to press me, you know? I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it. And I didn't really realize that until that conversation with my dad. And then the second part was that my dad said my sister's tripping. And I was like, why is she tripping? And he was like, oh, she said she's upset with them and she was calling them murderers. And he was like, they're not murderers. You know, your mom decided to be in that situation, be around those people. She decided to stop eating, you know. And I just thought that was interesting because, like, I literally was saying this week, right, that the oldest daughter, that woman is a murderer. And my dad was saying, like, she's not a murderer. You know, everybody contributed to the neglect of my mother, including me. You know, so it's not on them. But I thought it was interesting that my dad said he was afraid to go because of negativity. And my sister was very upset emotionally because she was calling the girls murderers. Which, honestly, I still feel like they're murderers. Premeditated murder. But I just thought it was very interesting because the fears lying in me were in my family. And that small, still voice, I feel like, was telling me, like, you should go. Like, you should go. Even though I don't want to. Even though I'm struggling with it because I'm at total peace. Like, I feel like me and my mom are straight. Like, we tied off the ends. Like, I was there for her last moments. Also, yeah, like, I've never been to a funeral, so I'm nervous. I don't go to like events, public events, crowds and stuff. Like, people know that that's not my style. And that's what people call introverts, but that's also fake too. Like, you should be able to work around that. You can't blame it on being an introvert. But I've always been, like, away from crowds. So I don't want to go just because of that. Like, that was a big issue for me and my girlfriend because I wouldn't go to family events with her. Birthday parties, holidays, Christmas. Like, I just wouldn't go because I don't like groups and shit. But it's like, who cares? You know? But what I thought was very interesting to conclude this was that last night on the phone, my dad merged a call with his best friend, which is like a brother to him. We grew up calling him Uncle. And Uncle Leroy was saying how he would go and substitute for my father. Because my sister had 2 girls she knows that are going to go and support her. And Mr. Leroy wanted to go just to support my dad and mainly to support me, to have a male figure there. And when my dad made the concern known to him that he might not go due to the racist comments in the past, that if he doesn't go, that he would go, Mr. Leroy would go just to be there to support me, to have a male figure there. And I told him, I was like, you know what? Because I just told my girlfriend, like hours before, because she asked me if I was gonna go, and I'm sure that's because her mama wanted to take off, she wanted to take off, so that they both want to go with me to the funeral. But I told Mr. Leroy last night, I said, hey, you know, the only reason why I would go is because of you, because you're gonna be there. And he said, and this was interesting to me, he said, well, I don't want you to go because of me. He's like, I want you to go for your mom. I was like, that's real, that's real. And I understand everyone talking about like respect, honor, and respect your mama. Look at those cats laying up there. Jasper always be acting like she can't hear me. Jasper. And she be trying to pretend like she's not asleep. She be doing what I was doing when I was a kid. Like, my parents would burst in the room. I just open my eyes and still act like I'm asleep. And that's what she be doing. Ain't that right, Jasper? Like, her eyes are wide open right now, but she acting like she's sleepy poo. It's funny. It's because, like, I'm always hugging up on people. I'm kinesthetic. Anyway. Sorry. I love these animals. And that's another thing too, man. People don't like cats. I used to explicitly hate cats, but I had an experience with a cat back in the day, and that changed me. You know, cats and dogs are different. Some people say, oh, you're a cat person, you're a pussy. But it's like, I think there could be a combination of it, bro. Cats are interesting. I feel like it taught me patience. It taught me a few things. By the way, there's a few articles I gotta write. One about cats and dogs. One about the Barbie movie being compared to Fight Club. A few things, those main two, because I've had situations, one with my dad's oldest daughter, Rochelle, because she talked about how she had dogs, and I talked about how I love cats, and I had a cat. And I said, oh, it taught me a lesson. She was like, why? And I didn't have an answer, no rebuttal. But I think it's mostly because I could tell in her attitude, she was like scoffing, like, oh yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's still type of attitude, like, what the fuck? Like a cat? What are you, a fucking pussy? You know? Because I said, oh, cats kind of changed my perspective. I think I learned a lesson. She was like, oh yeah, what is that? And I think part of it was because like I couldn't enunciate it, and a part of it was because I was probably just astonished because I knew what her take on it was already. And then the second time was when I was with a brother going on a fishing trip, and I just was talking random, putting random stuff out there, and I was like, I think the Barbie movie is the modern day Fight Club. And homeboy was like, he kind of scoffed too, and he was like, why is that? And I was like, I don't know. So I've always kind of wanted to write an essay about the two subjects because I think it's interesting. Because I think people get the wrong takeaway from it. Cats. Because humans don't understand them. They don't want to be touched, right? I was always legitimately scared of cats, that they would attack me. Sorry, I'm going to get on track. You damn distracted me, Jasper. Go back to sleepy poo, baby. And the Barbie movie, because it's like, what are you, fucking gay? Talking about the Barbie movie and shit. The only reason I watched it because of Ryan Gosling. I think he's a good actor. He's like top 5 up there. But I thought it was totally interesting because from the woman's perspective and from the male's perspective in that film. Anyway, that's just a note for later. I gotta write these essays. But I got carried away. Sorry, I know I was ranting. But yeah, man, Uncle Leroy was saying, like, I don't want you to go because of me. I want you to go for your mom. And in reality, I feel nothing, bro. I don't feel a requirement to go for my mama. Because legitimately, if I go, it's going to be for the expectations of others. Like my girlfriend all of her family saying, "Oh, you should go." Everyone expects me to go. So, at the end of the day, if that's the quota or the substandard, I'm not even going for my mom. Because I feel peace. I feel like me and my mom are good. I don't even do that traditional stuff. I would literally just be going to support my mom, or not even for my mom, to support my sister or support my dad, or to like get everybody to ease off my back because they expect me to go. But I would be going for everyone else, not for my mom. I don't feel required to go for my mom. Neither do I want to. I just don't feel it. I don't want to. I don't want to. But still, I feel like maybe I should go. I don't know.